Hi, I'm Christy Cordingley, and this is my show, The Flare Up Show, and this special episode is produced in partnership with Clarissa Burt and In the Limelight Media. I originally created this show to advocate for myself through chronic illness, but today it's grown into a wellness show that's listened to all over the world. I love to practice well-being for the whole being. So if you're ready to rise, thrive, and elevate your life, stay tuned, enjoy the show, and thanks for listening. All right, welcome to the Flare Up Show. The show is produced in partnership with Clarissa Burt and In the Limelight Media. And today I have the lovely Marisha Wojciechowska. She is an international consultant, author, and mother, and a true global citizen. She has traveled to over 30 countries and has lived in Montreal, New York, Paris, Tokyo, and Bangkok. Her work in water policy for the United Nations and global experiences have inspired her 7-book series, My Globetrotter Book. They are engaging activity books that encourage kids to explore the world through fun and educational puzzles, games, and activities. Air France invited her in 2022 to create special editions and exclusive book signings at the airports in Paris, which she's going to share more about in a little bit. And let's spark together a movement to empower parents to nurture world-ready children who will lead with compassion and confidence. Thank you so much, Marisha.
Oh, thank you, Chrissy. It's an honor to be on. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you. I really love to just start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how travel became such an important part of your life.
Yeah, so I'm so right now I'm in Bangkok, but I started off in Bangkok, Thailand. But I started off in Quebec City. I was born in Quebec City in Canada. And then I grew up in Canada. I grew up between Toronto and Ottawa. My parents were university professors, one in Toronto, the other in Ottawa. So I actually grew up on the highway. My sister and I like to say we grew up on the highway between those two cities.
At least it's a beautiful highway. Yes.
Yeah, but it's long. And then I moved to Montreal for university. Went to McGill and did environmental science there, and did a master's, and then I did a second master's in international development because I was really attracted by everything to do with global international environmental issues. And I have to say also, part of what sparked my love of travel was that my parents being university professors, they would have sabbaticals every 6 or 7 years. And so my mom and dad would just take us over to Paris for the year. So I did a year of grade school, a year of high school, and a year of university in Paris. And then in between, during the summers, we'd go and travel Europe, and my father was Polish. And so very early on, I was introduced to travel, and it just never, ever left me.
I love that. I'm gonna go just a tinge off topic. The one thing that I really appreciate about you is that you do this very deep, important work for science and for the planet, making sure people have enough water. And then I love that this venture led you, or you still incorporate such a beautiful attitude of play. And I think if more people could be playful, if we could experience joy and create these moments and wonder and experience, oh my goodness, how much happier would the world be, right? Like,
Yeah, totally. Because I am a mother. I have a beautiful son who's 20 years old, who's now in second year university in Tokyo, and I really wanted him to have an international worldview, a global worldview, really be a global citizen. And so his father's Japanese, in fact. And so he was born in New York City, and then we moved to Bangkok, Thailand, and then we went to Tokyo for 7 years, came back to Thailand, and then some way, almost halfway through high school, he wanted to get back to Canada, so went to school, and then in just outside Montreal, and then this beautiful college just outside of Montreal, and then comes university and he wants to head back to Tokyo. So And he studied in French and English. He's got triple sort of culture, even quadruple with his life in Thailand as well. So it was really, really important for me for him to have that. And for in order to do that, of course, for kids, it has to be fun, it has to be joyful, and it has to be sparking wonder and excitement about the world.
Hmm. And is this what inspired you to create these Globetrotter books? Is it specifically the effect that it could have on children and open their eyes to possibilities, where things that maybe some of us who didn't have that experience or that exposure to, maybe we thought there was limited opportunities, but to hear the way that you live and the way your son has grasped opportunities, it sounds like it really brings a bit of ease and excitement into understanding the world.
Exactly. And that's really what I tried to achieve with the books. The books, I have six titles in this series, the My Globetrotter series. And this is the title on New York, but they're all very graphic. They're puzzles,
Mhm.
games, and for kids to really discover the world on their own terms. And I go beyond just like this is the Statue of Liberty. I try to really expose them to the culture and to have them discover it in a fun way, in a playful way, with games and activities, and so like and so what I mean by culture, it's food. It's for my book on Tokyo. I have a page on how to be polite in Tokyo, or what are some of the things in a kid's life in Japan that tourists won't be able to see. Like for instance, every child has at home it's a sort of sanctuary. It's not, I mean, the whole family has the sanctuary in the house where they honor their ancestors. You
Sure.
know, foreigners wouldn't know that about a Japanese household. Japanese kids all have the same cartable, the same what do you what do you call it that you take to school that you put your books in?
Oh, yeah, your binder, like your school book, your backpack.
Backpack. They
Yeah.
all have this. It's called a rantosoru, I think it's called in Japanese, but they all have the same one. And these are the types of things that foreigners wouldn't necessarily pick up on, or kids wouldn't. So I really try to make it accessible to kids, to make it fun for kids to learn about the world, because I'm really convinced that if you know more about the world, you'll be better prepared, for the future, and you'll be able to connect better with the
Yeah.
world, be able to understand the world better, and to build those bridges that are so essential when you look at it from a bigger macro perspective, of course.
Yeah, it would probably understanding sort of the who people are, where they come from, and why they practice the things that they do and the things that are important to them. I mean, that is instilling empathy in children, right? And to celebrate and honor diversity rather than trying to change it or melt it into one thing. It's really about, oh, this is so cool. Our differences are so cool, and I love both.
I love that. Exactly. Yeah, I'll have you
Yeah.
explain.
I love your books. They're really good. Okay. So, and they are super special. So tell us about, they're so special that Air France actually asked you to do something special for them. So can you share a bit about that and some special moments from that time?
So that was really exciting because this idea came to me and I started working on it. And then I started with the first title. My first title was Tokyo, in fact. And then I had a girlfriend who introduced me to a distributor, and they were here in Thailand, actually. And so they're like, yeah, that's fun. Tokyo's great, but we'd like one on Bangkok. So then I started doing one on Bangkok. And then it
Mhm.
just sort of snowballed from there, right? And until eventually, Air France, I had a meeting with them at the airport in Charles de Gaulle one day, thanks to a very good friend, and they were super interested, and they asked me to do special editions. So we did a special edition on Paris and New York, and then we did and then they invited me to do a book signing at the airport, an exclusive book signing, in the VIP lounges of
Oh,
the two airports in Paris. So it was really incredible, because from this little spark of idea of doing these books, here I am signing the books all by myself on this huge table in the middle of the lounge and their flagship lounge at the airport of Charles de Gaulle and Passy. It was just incredible.
that's so beautiful. Do you, now that your books are out there and people all over the world are reading them, are you starting to receive stories or feedback from people about how this has changed their perspectives or has inspired them to start traveling?
Yeah, I mean, and that's actually a good point that you raised because, in fact, the books are not only for, especially, I launched them in what was it, September 2019, I think, and then
Mhm.
do you remember what
COVID.
happened in March? So travel books
You're
are
not
not
going anywhere. Yeah.
for a couple of years. It was pretty lousy timing. But then, so then, and then but the thing is that they're really also designed for families who can't travel, who can't, I'm very conscious that not everyone can get on a plane to Singapore or to Tokyo or to
Yes.
Paris. So they really, really are windows into the world for families who are not getting on a plane, and for kids who want to expand their worldview and learn about the world in fun, engaging way without getting on the plane. And yes, I mean I do get fabulous feedback all the time on the books. The kids really get engaged in with them, and the families. So for instance, when I was doing those book signings at the airports in Paris, and the parents were getting the book and or the kids were getting the book right away, they'd get like start playing the games and start reading them, and the parents, I could see the parents go, I'm about to get on this huge long flight, and at least I have a couple of minutes, and if not an hour ahead of me with my kid being engaged, and so
Mm.
it's lovely. Yes, yes, and you know what I always get also is that people learn a lot from the
Yes.
book, and that actually I'm the first one to learn every time I'm creating a new title. Of course, the research that goes into it. So five of the titles that I've written so far have been cities that I have lived in,
Mhm.
but Singapore is one of my titles, and while it's a city that I've often gone to and had professional dealings in, it's not a city that I have lived in. So, of course, the amount of research, uh, even for the cities that I've lived in, when you live in a city, you don't necessarily see it through the eyes of someone who's trying to learn about it, right? You're living in it. So I put a lot of research into each book, and I'm the first one to learn from my books, but I know a lot of families tell me that they learn a lot from my books too.
Yes, I love that. I know your next title is going to be Bali, correct?
I have ballet
Oh, Bali's,
planned.
yes. And then you
I,
have, can you tell us actually, because you're creating a book that's the same but a little bit different. Can you tell us a little bit about the city within?
yeah, The Journey Within. So The Journey Within is a book actually that's already published.
Is
It's
it? Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. That's terrible.
okay. That's okay. It's here it is. Look,
There it is.
here it is.
Yes. Yes, tell us.
So this one actually came about because so here we are, we're 2020 and no one's flying. And I stumbled upon this extraordinary technology for cellular health. And so I'm passionate about this, and I start learning more about cells and how cells work in our bodies. And I get really, really excited about it. And I'm fascinated with how our cells work. They're like little cities and they talk to each other. And they're like messengers sending messages around from cells to cells and within the cells. And I'm like, oh my gosh, kids have to learn about this. And I can do it. I think I can do it in the same format with puzzles and games. And I have to say, I always have a certificate at the end of
Oh.
each book. So the kids get their little certificate. There's also a crack the code page where kids find it's actually a PDF link where they can go print a seal that they then, get to stick on their certificate. But so I get really excited about the cells and I write a book about cells and cellular health and for me, the approach I have about that is really just as we can explore the world around us, and the world around us is even within each of our communities. Most of our communities, we're going to be crossing paths with cultures at school or in the shopping mall or wherever we're going. We're going to meet people of different cultures of who are Buddhist, who are Muslim, who are of these different countries. And so just as I'm approaching the world and the discovery of the world, I have taken this journey within where I bring the kids on a journey inside their cells and inside their bodies. And it's the same objective. I'm trying to have them spark wonder about how their bodies work and an understanding and an appreciation about how the cells work. They are extraordinary creations, these cells of ours, and how then to keep them, healthy. How and those are foundations that we need to instill into our children that will last a lifetime for them. So how the cell works, what's inside the cell, the organelles, and then the DNA, and then how they regenerate, how they talk to each other, what are neurons, how you can exercise your neurons, and then the sort of the five pillars of cellular health, which are for me hydration, nutrition, movement, sleep, and my last page is on the power of the mind
Mm,
in the
neuroplasticity.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, I love that. To me, the word that comes to mind when I think about what you're doing, both like within the body and with the world and different countries, is like you're highlighting that we're actually part of a community and we have a community inside us, there's a community around us. I would imagine that would flow into your work too. Like just because they have water doesn't mean everybody has water. How do we work together and link our communities so we can all have what we need? And that's what's so beautiful about your books too. It's like sometimes we think, oh, that's so far away from what I know or what I experience. But when we get sort of close and personal with it, we're like, oh, we share this planet together. We have to look out for each other, right?
Right, that's right. And then that's exactly, I mean, my whole work on water policy and water security with the United Nations and other different international clients and entities that I work with, mostly here in Asia. Um, it's all about, water connects us all. Water flows through everything we do, everything we touch, through our cells, through our bodies, through our rivers, we're connected, through the atmosphere, we're connected, through food. Food and
Mhm.
water security is so important and such a key component of looking at how to share that resource and how to manage it. And now, of course, with climate change, overshadowing all of that, then of course, we have to work together.
We do. We depend on it, all of us do, right? So I would love to know where can people find your books? Where are people interacting with your books?
So I have a website. The best place to go is on my website. And then, so my website is myglobetrotterbook.com,
Mhm.
myglobetrotterbook.com. And then you can find them also on Amazon, of course, and on any of the platforms that have the online,
Mhm.
shipping. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope if any teachers are listening, they need to think about your book in their schools as well, because what a great resource that would be for libraries or for activities or geography lessons or all those things, right? Social studies.
Yeah, exactly. They or even language. I here in Thailand, they'll have them in the language departments, for instance,
Oh,
to
wonderful.
learn English. Even the Bangkok one. So I did with my distributor here in Thailand. I did a super activity back in June this year, and it was online, but there were 700 kids from Thai schools.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful, bringing people together everywhere. I love it. I love it. Are there any last words or words of advice or wisdom or encouragement that you would love to leave the audience with before we wrap up today?
Expand your horizons. I mean, that has been the theme of my life, certainly, and what has brought me the most richness and excitement and fulfillment. I mean, and it really is for our kids, I think, a key for their future, for them to build a thriving future. They have to expand their horizons.
Well said. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Marisha.
Thank you, Chrissy.
It's a pleasure.